Ashraf Haidari, Afghanistan's ambassador to Sri Lanka, joins me now from Colombo. Sir, always good to speak to you. Now, you recently called on the Sri Lankan government to get involved in Afghanistan. How do you think that they will be able to help?
Well, first of all, it is important, as I just was listening to the guest speaker in the studio, that the Afghan national security forces are facing a twofold aggression from our neighboring state, the government of Pakistan, which has been, on the one hand, directly supporting the Taliban, which we consider as a direct act of aggression and violation of the United Nations Charter, Chapter 7. But they have also mobilized a large number of madrasa students in cahoots and, of course, recruited by a number of different Islamist militant groups based in Pakistan who have been sent over into Afghanistan, fighting alongside the Taliban to, take over some of the districts and cities which you've been pointing out. So it's a twofold acts of aggression. One direct. Now the whole world knows that it is the Pakistan that has supported the Taliban over the past 20 years, and now alongside them they have deployed or facilitated the deployment of additional terrorist networks based in Pakistan to participate in these combat operations against the Afghan National Security Forces, who've been relentlessly defending Afghanistan and fighting what I term as suicidal zombies. Most of these people coming over into Afghanistan are there to actually fight and die, while our forces have been, of course, observing all laws of war. They're not using human shields as the Taliban and their foreign terrorist networks do. Summarily executing innocent people, civilians, men, women, children, especially children, as the guest speaker pointed out. And so that's where, unfortunately, the situation stands. Afghanistan is defending our country against direct and indirect acts of aggression, creeping invasion. It's purely invasion, actually. On the one hand, as the UN Security Council meeting recently discussed, and as with it again on September the 10th, and discussed the situation in Afghanistan. That said, Sri Lanka's experience a war to peace transition is very relevant. Remember that Sri Lanka fought a 3-decade counter-terrorism war against extremists and terrorists, and ultimately defeated them. Sri Lanka, like Afghanistan, was involved in long-drawn peace-mediated processes, which actually only emboldened their enemy, only enabled them to actually hit back each time Sri Lankans withdrew from a battlefield and waited for the peace process to work, but unfortunately it failed. So Sri Lanka has a lot of expertise and experience when it comes to fighting terrorism, and we can use that expertise and experience. And of course, Sri Lanka's advice has always been to fight back, to defend our homeland, much like they did, until there's what we call regionally rooted and as well as globally supported threat of terrorism, not only Afghanistan, but the entire region, all of our extended neighborhood, including Turkey, as far as, of course, Europe and the United States, if you think about the spillover effects. So what has also happened is the manifestation of the abrupt, unfortunately, withdrawal of U.S. forces and the enablers that we continue to need to defend Afghanistan, the region, and the world against this onslaught of terrorists and extremists, unfortunately, that we are observing.
Unfortunately, we've run out of time, but Ashraf Haidari, thank you for your take live to us there from Colombo.